process that has been successful, and you follow the steps that they followed, you will be successful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first one is responsibility. People that are successful, they assume complete responsibility for their results. They stop blaming anyone else. They become the masters of their process, and at the end, I like to put this because that's a action-reaction, and it obeys a law that says your results are gonna be in direct proportion to your energy and everything that you put in the system. As soon as you stop putting energy in the system, then anything that you might have achieved is going to disappear. So this is a constant process. So that's the first one. They assume full responsibility for their results. And actually, if you want to go and type at YouTube, you will find a great video where there's explanation why 84% of people don't assume responsibility, and it is due to the initiation routines that people used to have in tribal associations, where at a certain point, 12, 13 years, the shamans would come and get the kids out of their mother's hands and put them in the wild, and they would have to survive, and then they would become men, and they would get strong and responsible for the first time. That doesn't happen anymore. And 84% of people keep blaming others because of what they are getting. So that's the first key. The second one is everything counts. There's a phrase that goes like, if you want to change your life, you have to change your life.
That's right.
Right? It's not diet, it's not exercise, it's everything. So this is what we teach our patients, and what took Doña Clary, my mother, away from her disease, and she's healthy now, 83 years old. Sunlight, if we go from the top to the right, sunlight, sleep, electromagnetism, the mindset is 83.4% of our results, just the mindset. Can you imagine how big it is? Hydration, breathing, nutrition, exercise, cold thermogenesis, and stress management. The more the time goes, I think I will change our system to stress management first, and then the rest. Because as you heard yesterday, you might be doing everything perfectly, but if you're not managing your stress and you're overstressed, you'll have completely different results just because of that. But at the end, all this is important, everything. So those are the things that we put together that we know that scientifically lower low-level inflammation. So if this is inflammation, and this is the threshold that your body can handle, the more your inflammation goes over the threshold, the more your body stops functioning. And as soon as you start lowering that low-level inflammation, then your body kicks in again. So I want to spend a couple of minutes explaining why I don't like the word diet. It has to do with neuro-linguistic programming. I am trained in neuro-linguistic programming, which is how we handle the words because of the meaning that it imprints in our neurological system. So the word diet, specifically, the word diet is painful for most people. It has to do with restriction. You have to count everything you eat. You have to be counting calories, spoons, cups. You're excluded from your group. It's painful all the time. And at a subconscious level, we have a system that is always trying to protect us from going through a painful situation. So it doesn't matter if you feel or you know you're going to achieve something great at the end, like having more energy or becoming stronger or influencing your family, it doesn't really matter. If you have to go through a painful path, then self-sabotage will show up, because the system is created to deviate you and don't allow you to go through a painful path. And the word diet is exactly that. So what we teach our patients is, you're not going to do a diet. You will change the way you eat. So the keto diet, we change it for keto lifestyle. And then we go under the defenses. And the subconscious goes like, I don't know if you ever were riding your bike and the chain got off, and so you got like, you were not advancing. So the subconscious goes like this. Whoa, 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 what is changing your lifestyle? What is changing the way you eat? There are no bad consequences associated to it. So the chances that you get to the end are far greater. And of course, it can be diet, it can be exercise. It's everything. So we teach, if you want to get permanent results, you have to do permanent changes in all of those. I was explaining yesterday with Jen, we were having and her wife, her son, and husband and mom, that the Chinese practice a philosophy that is called surrounded dragon. And surrounded dragon, you throw lines from the different angles where the dragon could escape. And the dragon means a problem, a challenge. So those 10 lines that you see over there, if you give permission to lose one of those, that's where the dragon could leave, and you might not be able to change. So in those 10 things you see there, the more that is the most uncomfortable to you, that's probably the one that you should focus on, because we'll take you away from what you are currently doing. The third one is a clear mental picture of your goal. You have to know where you want to go. But it can't be a weight. There's no passion in a weight. Where do you feel passion? With your emotions. So if any of you are asking yourselves, are emotions important? Well, let's remember about Taj Mahal. It was built for love. So emotions are the true powerful pathway. And here, as an example, if you see my face over there, this was a book signing on a bookstore in Costa Rica. So why am I having this face? It's because at that specific time, I remembered that I was having the realization of my vision of writing a book. So it's not because I'm signing a book. It's because at that, and I remember that. At specific time, I was materializing my vision. So we need to have a vision. And there are two reasons why we motivate ourselves. The one on the left is because we want to get away from pain. And the second one is that we want to gain pleasure. Those are the only two reasons why we do things. So I'll go through a few of the reasons that people tell us. So if you relate to those and you're still thinking, I want to lose X amount of pounds, get away from that thought and move to this one. These are only examples, and they tell us that. I'm tired of, and I hate going shopping because I can only buy what fits me and not what I like. Another one, classic. I don't like to be taking pictures, and I like to hide behind people because I don't like myself. Another one, classic, I see myself in front of the mirror and I start crying because I don't recognize myself anymore. This one is as example of achieving success or moving towards pleasure. Maybe I want to run a marathon. Maybe I want to influence my family. Maybe I want to become an example for my kids. Maybe I want to have energy to play with my kids. So something where you project your mind and at the end you see it, and that's pleasure for you. Then in any of those two cases, if it is painful, you need to put the finger strong enough so you feel the pain, and then you feel motivated, because the weight's not going to do it. If you don't have a goal, a clear goal, then you might end up experiencing what Alice in Wonderland experienced when she went to the crossroads. She asked Mr. Cat, "Oh, Mr. Cat, do you know which way should I go?" And Mr. Cat singing says, "Well, it really depends on where you want to go." And she said, "Well, I don't know where I want to go." And then he said, "Well, in that case, any way will take you there." So if we are trying to get rid of our own resources, try to go anywhere, and you will get there, but not to the place where you want to go. So you need to have a clear vision. And this is key. This vision needs to be created in your mind. You close your eyes, you put flowers around it, color movement, and when you do that, you do it in 2 specific times of the day. When you're waking up, because you are in a transition in time from subconscious to conscious, and there's a way that you can impregnate the subconscious mind doing it at that specific time. And the other one is at the end of the day when you're going to sleep, when you are also transitioning from conscious to subconscious mind. If that's the last thing you think about, and not just think about, but feel it, then it gets imprinted into the subconscious mind. But it has to be every day, multiple times a day. It's not just a one-day thing and then the results will show up by themselves. Okay, the 4th one is a written strategy with a deadline. So what they do, we teach people. We used to do, before the pandemic, I used to teach them the classes. They have to go through 5-hour classes once to learn the basics and the theory, and then the nutritionists take them and they do the follow-up every 15 days. So I used to teach those classes. I used to teach 15 hours of classes every week. But after the pandemic, we record material, so people need to watch all that information before they go to their first appointment. And what they do is that every time there's an aha moment, which means it's something new to them, they just realize there's something very important there, they write it down and they put a deadline to apply that thing. And guess when the deadline is? Tomorrow. Every time is tomorrow. And that's key, because that's information we get from them, right? So it has been shown that whenever you write things down, you pass from an abstract concept to a concrete one, and there are more chances that you will be able to take that and become a reality. The 5th one, this is key. Close the mind to criticism. And here it is. I want to spend a couple of minutes here too, because I think it's the most important thing. We did a survey asking the nutritionist, could you please ask the patients that you know that have left the program and didn't get the results, what were their reasons why they did that? And consistently, with a nutritionist at that time, because of family pressure. So I want to briefly explain why this happens. You know that we find strength in numbers. We have a necessity to a tribal association because we become stronger even though we might be the same strength, but when we are surrounded with other people, then we become more strong. So at a subconscious level, we need to have that tribal association. And any time that you are criticized, it feels like you are being expelled from the tribe. And subconsciously, you think you are in danger. And you might drop whatever you are doing that is separating you from your group because you find that this is a threat to your survival. And most people, what they do is that they stop whatever they are doing to become part of their group again, even though it is against what they want to achieve. So the normal process is when you want to make a change or when there's innovation in your life, this is your group, and whenever you separate yourself from your group, we need to remember that we are the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves most often. We are average of those people. Mentally, emotionally, the microbiome is even involved in that. And also psychologically, economically, we don't separate 20% away from those in the income bracket in our group. It's being shown. So we become that average. So if you elevate yourself to this point, and this is your group, they will not come and follow you. That's not what happens. They will start to see what they can do to throw you down so they feel better because they are not ready yet. So somebody yesterday asked, what can we do to influence people in our family? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Well, there's something you can do. It's just become silently the best example that you can be. Because the normal process is, first, you will be criticized. Secondly, people will start laughing at you. It always happens. And the third one is, you become an influence and people will do whatever you are doing. But the thing is that they will not jump with you from the very beginning. If you don't understand that, you might stop yourself because you want to become part of that group again. So there's a law, and I want to share it with you. And the law says that criticism is going to appear in direct proportion to the size of your dreams. Big dreams, big criticism. Small dreams, you're not making anyone uncomfortable, so nobody's going to say anything. So if nobody's criticizing you, maybe you should think again and reformulate your goal. But if somebody is criticizing you, to understand the law gives you freedom, because that means if I'm being criticized, that means that by law I'm about to get something that is going to really change my life, and I'll keep going. So I want to share a phrase with you that goes like this. So please make it your own. The dogs may bark, but the train keeps moving. You are the train, and the dogs may bark, but please don't keep yourself from achieving the dreams that you have set because of what other people are saying, because they will always have an opinion. What we did to solve this is that I did a video, a 5-minute video where I explain all this. So people send it to their primary group, and they understand now what they might do, and whenever they do it, they find themselves doing it, and they might stop. And I can tell you, it really has helped us. Has helped them, actually. The sixth one is community, of course. In 2022, there was a research that showed that the most important aspect when somebody wanted to change, either stop smoking, stop alcohol, drugs, was community support. So if you don't have that community in your own group, you have to find one. And there's community here. And why is community so important? Why is community so important? Because you find people that they have a focus on the same thing, and they are understanding the same things, and that creates a bond. So just to give you an example, I'll tell a story. The story goes like this. During the war, there was a small group of soldiers with their general, they were in a trench, and all of a sudden a bomb was dropped in another place near them where the best friend of one of the soldiers, at that specific point, he was standing and the bomb dropped and exploded. So he asked his general, "Sir, can I get permission to go and see how my buddy is doing?" And the general said, "No, you're not allowed because you're going to put us in danger." "Sir, I'm asking permission to go and see how my buddy is doing." He was shaking. "No, I told you, you are not allowed because you're going to put us in danger." "Sir, I'm asking permission." "No." He just ran to see what had happened to his body. When he gets back, he has his body with no life in his hands. He's carrying him. And the general goes at him and says, "I told you he was not alive, and now you have put us in danger." He said, "No, sir, he was alive. And when he saw me, he said, 'I knew you would come.'" And then he died. That's the power bond. Because we know we have somebody that is looking for us. And that's the power of the community. We can't do it by ourselves. We need other people. So that's key, another very important one. The seventh one is faith in the process. So there's a coin. And the two faces of the coin are fear and faith. Both faces demand that you believe in something that cannot be seen. You can see faith, you can see fear, but both are as real. And I'll explain you why. We have in our brain an area, it's called I'm just blanking on the name. No. Almost. Well, there's an area in the brain that it's like an antenna that opens up whenever you're focused on something. And that antenna shows from environment, anything that you're focused on becomes more visible. So as an example, we recently bought a dog. And we went to a shopping mall where we regularly go, and to that point, I had never ever before seen a dog. But when we bought the dog, I saw dogs everywhere, because that was my new focus. Reticular activating system, that's the name of the reticular activating system. So what that system does is that it keeps you focused on what really matters to you. So the saying goes like this: we don't see the world as we are. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And how are we? It really depends on our focus. So if you have faith, guess what the environment is going to show you? Exactly how you are able to make it. But if you have fear, then guess what's going to happen? All of a sudden, all the people is going to start to show up telling you why you are on the wrong path, and you will have proof, always. You know, I'm 49 years old, and I used to play Atari. You remember Atari when then you had the joystick. Well, you own the joystick, and you can decide which way you want to go. Is it faith? Okay, go. Is it fear? And the body and the system makes the rest. The brain is gonna do the work for you. So this was a quote by Andrew Carnegie, which illustrates this. It's any idea that is held in the mind that is either fear or reverse will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate physical forms available. And that's the truth. So always try to focus on these kind of images. Your hands showing that you have succeeded. And if you're not there yet, just keep it in your mind consistently. because if you consistently think about it and get emotionally about it, remember first thing in the morning and the last thing you do in the night, then you will start imprinting the subconscious mind in this regard. The eighth one is teach it to someone else. Two magical things happen when you teach it to someone else. This is actually from the first chapter of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey. When you learn something, if you go and pass the information to somebody else, you are doing two things. The first one is that you are getting that information and in a kind of a system where you have to pass it to somebody else, so you relearned information. That's the first one. And the second one is that you are going into a very, very strong influence principle, which is consistency. If you say you're doing something to somebody else, then you have committed yourself to do it. Otherwise, you will be inconsistent. And inconsistency is one of the most bad things that you can do to yourself, because that immediately means that you will be expelled from the tribe, because you are not somebody that you can count on, because you are inconsistent. So that's a very powerful tool that you can use in yourself. So you teach it to someone else. The next one is practice patience and persistence. And for that, I'm going to tell you about the Chinese bamboo. So if you put a sprout of Chinese bamboo in the ground and you give it the best conditions, water, nutrition, sunlight, pressure, air pressure, everything is perfect. You plant that sprout and nothing is going to happen on the first year, on the second year, on the third year, the fourth year. Nothing's going to happen in the fifth year. Nothing's going to happen in the sixth year. Nothing's going to happen in the seventh year. But during the seventh year, the bamboo is going to explode into the air, 30 feet high, in 6 weeks. So to the untrained mind, two things happen. The second year, nothing is happening, this is not worth. It didn't work. The second thing that happens is, to the untrained mind, this bamboo grew in 6 weeks. No, it didn't. It took 7 years to get the roots deep enough to sustain a 30 feet growth. And my friends, that's life. Life is a process. And now, we're victims of Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, where you have instant gratification and you become trained that life is instant gratification, but it is not. Anything that is worth having takes energy, a lot of energy. That's why we insist that people do a lifestyle change permanently. The funny thing is that at the beginning, it's going to take energy. As a rocket takes, 80, 90%. Maybe Dom can give us the number, because he has worked with NASA. To get out of the atmosphere, and then just with little tweaks of energy, it can keep riding. But most of the energy is spent at the very beginning once we are creating, or when we are creating a habit. But once you have the habit, it becomes normal. So sometimes I like to cruise. This is my 8th cruise. In December, we're going to have our 9th cruise with my wife and my son. And some people, when we post that I'm working out, they say I'm a freak. I'm not a freak. To me, it is uncomfortable not to work out, because it has become part of my identity, because it has become part of my life. So if I don't do it, I feel bad. So you see, for people who are not there yet with the habit of working out, for example, working out is difficult because it moves them away from their usual lifestyle. And doing a workout will require energy. Once you have that installed, then you don't require any energy because that's what you are. Not working out would be requiring energy, mental energy, where you feel bad and you don't feel the right way. So that's the bamboo. The 10th one is the massive action. And I met a couple that are from New Zealand. Are they here? No? Oh yeah, there you go. Massive action. What is massive action? What they do is that they, actually I had another slide, but I have to change it because Brian yesterday told you about burning the boat. So, I found this one instead. Massive action is priming yourself for success every day. And that's what the Maoris do with the haka. If you're not familiarized with that, the haka is a dance that the New Zealanders practice to intimidate their enemy, and also when they are sharing a special moment like tribe union. So I'll play the video so you have an idea of what priming is, and it is very powerful. And what our patients tell us, you can read there the translation. So.
Oh my God.
Well, that's really impressive, and that's priming yourself with strength, with power, and so you go out and face life, and there's no way you can lose when you prime yourself every day. But you see, it's a habit, and you have to do it every day. Guess what I was doing in the bathroom before I started this? Yeah, somebody came and knocked the door. I was just at the beginning. You're gonna have to wait a little bit. All right, and the last thing in my 54 seconds that I have left is that people need to tackle the root cause. And what is the root cause? There are 6 reasons why we eat for them are the wrong reasons why we eat. The first one is we eat for sustenance. The second one is, as a group meeting, we share through food. Those 2 are not bad ones. The third one is for pleasure. We know there are chemicals in ultra-processed foods that will hijack your brain. The fourth one is for comfort. So you have that picture where people break up on a relationship, they sit in front of the TV with
Ice cream.
Ice cream, okay, that's exactly. Another one is installed patterns during childhood. So, short story, my mom used to, I love her, but my mom used to take me to the hospital when I was a small child. And after the hospital, there was always McDonald's as a comfort. So she could have trained in my brain that whenever you are experiencing pain, then McDonald's is the place to go. So that's another one that is not a good one. And the last one is to become invisible. This is a very strong reason why people eat a lot. And there was a research where 60% of severely obese individuals had been sexually abused. And they ate because they wanted to become invisible to the rest of the people because they felt threatened if they would get into a relationship. So if somebody is going through this and they don't understand this and they don't get help from a professional, they can do whatever they want, but as soon as this trigger appears, everything's gonna be the way it used to be. So it needs to be addressed. So I'm done. Thank you very much.